If you have been with us on this show, you know that we have some temporary hosts who come in, fill in, and one of the people that I sought out myself, Glenn Ordway, a long time Boston radio host for WEEI for over 30 years, and had always had great respect for him. He was the radio voice of the Celtics and an afternoon host at WEEI for about 34 years. Had his last show yesterday on the radio. And I thought, you know what? There aren't many of us left who've been doing this a long time and have great respect for WEEI and certainly Glenn Ordway. And Glenn joins us now. Glenn, how'd you come up with the decision to call it a career?
Well, first of all, thank you very much, Dan. And second of all, hello to all the Danettes. I miss you guys dearly. When you do it this long, 48 years, and you will come to this day one day as well, you sit there and say, how much life do you have left? Do I want to go in there and do this every single day? I've got to watch 4 games every single night. You've got to read everything, prepare. And I said, I still can keep my hand in it, do it, and yet I don't have to do it every single day. And they're giving me that opportunity. I asked for that opportunity, and it's perfect. And I'm looking forward to the next challenges here in my life. So it's great.
Yeah, but what are you going to do when that big story in Boston breaks and you're not on the radio to be able to dive into it?
I haven't thought about that quite yet. I mean, come on. I mean, I'll find a way of sneaking on the air. I'll call as a prank caller or something like that. I'll find a way to be able to do it because you're right. You can't, especially with Boston and the emotion of passion, as you know, of that town, it is hard to separate. And I'm sure I'm going to have difficulty doing that, but we'll see how it goes.
Biggest story that you were around, covered in the last, let's say, 34 years, Boston sports.
I would tell you this. If I were working in Tampa Bay, it would be very easy. I could throw one at you. When you work in Boston, and over the last 20 years, with maybe the greatest run a city has ever had of winning teams, it's hard to do. 2004, Red Sox go 86 years of failure without ever winning. Came close, couldn't win. Bucky Dent. We can go through all of these different, points in history. To me, 04 was pivotal. It was unbelievable. The Patriots, as you know, used to be a disaster of a franchise. 25,000 people. They had the worst attendance of any team in the NFL. In Boston, you couldn't watch home games. They were blacked out. Look at them now. I mean, there's so many different moments. People have asked me that question, Dan. It's impossible to pick one.
But when they were down 3-0 to the Yankees,
big
2004, everybody was felt like the town was saying, once again, another year.
They were done.
Year.
We all thought they were done. We did. And I would say that is one of those moments, one of those pivotal moments you sit there and you look back at. You're down 3-0 and you get blown out in that last game. How the hell are they going to come back? Yeah, I would say that might be one of the biggest turnarounds. And you tell me, in all of professional sports, the history of professional sports, they were done, toast.
Most important athlete in your 34 years at WEEI in Boston?
This guy that is quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now is pretty good.
Okay, how about I take him out?
Why?
I'm going to take him out.
The greatest football player of all time. If you take him out, I would say then we're looking at Larry Bird, we're looking at Bobby Orr.
Does David Ortiz get in there?
He does, but because he was the designated hitter, you probably view him a little bit differently because he wasn't out there in the field. But as far as Red Sox players go, Ted Williams was a better overall player than David Ortiz. David Ortiz had a bigger impact in Boston as a member of the Red Sox.
Give me the Patriots story that you don't have the full story on.
Malcolm Butler. Why did he not start? I can't tell you how many times we've asked Bill that question, and he won't reveal it. I've really come to the conclusion that it had everything to do with football, and it had nothing to do with anything else. I mean, and when Belichick doesn't reveal stuff to you, you think the worst. You think, oh, there's got to be something happen here, right? And I think it really comes down to football. I think it comes down to big receiver matchup that they didn't believe he could get it done. And he was having, during the course of the week, some physical sickness problems. He was in the hospital for a few days. I just don't think they thought he was ready.
If they won the Super Bowl, would we know the story of why Malcolm Butler did not play?
Probably would have a better chance, but you know Belichick, Dan. He's not going to reveal anything. And it's funny. I tell people all the time, well, we'll get it in the book. Nah, you won't get it in the book.
But I respect him, though, Glenn, because if I'm a player, he's not dishing on you. And a lot of these coaches, they can be saying something to somebody who says something to somebody, and then it gets to the media. Bill doesn't strike me as that guy. Like, we still don't know how Jimmy Garoppolo got traded, do we?
We do not, but I think it's been overplayed where people say, and I think I can say this with some confidence, that it's been overplayed when people say that Bob Kraft forced his hand to do it. I think he loved Jimmy Garoppolo. I think Bill thought that Jimmy Garoppolo could be the replacement for Tom Brady, but he also realized it was just bad timing. The timing didn't work. Tom Brady was not ready to expire. And as it turns out, he wasn't ready to expire a year ago when they separated from each other. We're seeing that now.
What role do you think Brady had in Jimmy Garoppolo, if any, getting traded?
I don't think he had much. I really don't. I think you're starting to hear a different Tom Brady right now. I notice a different Tom Brady. Tom Brady is free to talk right now in Tampa. And I think you would have heard a lot more about some of that stuff if Tom Brady had a role in it. I think Brady, when he says the role, I'm just the employee, I go and do my job. I think that's what his role was there. I think he has a much different role now in Tampa Bay. He's got a voice. Obviously Arians listens to him, maybe gives him a lot of rope. And I think you're seeing that being passed along to people like Aaron Rodgers and how he views his position in Green Bay now.
Do you have a go-to Larry Bird story?
I have a bunch of go-to Larry Bird stories because he was pretty damn good. I'll give you we're talking about the greatness of Larry Bird and the difference of athletes thinking about statistics. We're playing in Salt Lake City one night. Larry Bird has got a triple-double. He is, I think, one assist away from a quadruple-double, which, as you know, is a rarity in the NBA. Celtics are up by like 24 points or whatever. Most athletes would say, screw it, I'm going back out there on the floor. It was the end of the third quarter. All he had to do was come out for a minute of the fourth quarter, and he could have picked up that additional assist. Most athletes would sit there and say, give it to me. Larry Bird said, I'm done. The coaches said, no, you got to go back in there. You're one assist shy. He goes, we're up by 24 points. What are we doing here? And he said, no, I won't go in.
But were you courtside when you were doing play-by-play for the Celtics? Like, could you hear what was going on the floor?
Yeah, I was courtside because in the road. At home, we were high above courtside at the TD Garden. And you remember Johnny Most, and I worked with Johnny for 7 years, the great play-by-play voice of the Celtics. When Larry Bird would check into a game in the old days, Dan, on the road, Johnny was a chain smoker. He lit himself on fire one night, and he kept the cigarettes underneath the table, underneath the desk. When Bird would check into the game, he would drive Johnny crazy. He would steal his cigarettes and he would take him down to the official score and drop him off there.
Wait, so Johnny Most set himself on fire during a game?
Twice. Yeah, twice. So he was a chain smoker. So he had two cigarettes going. He had one going in front of him, but that cigarette was going to go out. So he had to have a second one ready to go. So he would light two of them. The problem was he dropped one of them right on the crotch of his pants, polyester pants, I may add, and they went up like in an oil blazing fire.
I'm proud to know you. Congratulations on a wonderful run, and I hope you keep in touch, Glenn. Thank you for all you did for this show and certainly what you did for the city of Boston.
Dan, thank you very much, and I really appreciate your support over the years. You've been great. Been a good friend. Thank you.
Glenn Ordway, WEEI Boston radio host for 34 years.